Sit together with your design class, please. So yeah, if you go all the way up to the top, that's okay. Just fill in that top row. Please sit together with your class on the same row if you can, or move to the next row, but sit together, please. Emma, it's okay. You can use that back row. That's okay. Just use that full back row for your class. Mr. Smith, what we'll do with grade 8, we'll use that section and then we'll come down here. This is for grade 7. Thank you. If you can help organize them a bit when they come in, that'll be awesome. Thank you. What grade do we have here? Grade 6? Why don't you come on right down here, this first row. Or the second row here. The first row is blocked off. So come to this. And we'll try to keep your class, have everyone in your class sit in that row, and then you can start going on to the next row.
Test, test, test.
So Miss Tether's class, keep coming right here, the second row, fill all the way down in there. And then we'll be quite packed in here, Mr. Davis, so we're going to try to keep it class, 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 one after another. That was not the intention. All right, Miss Tether, fill in, and then the next class is going to fill in. Miss Bigwood, yeah, why don't we fill in right there? That'll be great. Thank you so much. We have an empty seat right here. We need to fill all of the seats, so please move down and fill in all the seats. Thank you. We need to fill in all the seats. You cannot sit where the tape is. Mr. Lamb's class, let's wait until Mr. Muntz's class sits down, and then you can sit down next. Grade 7, let's all sit together with your class. So with your class, fill a row together. Mr. Bones, are you helping me out back there? Thank you. You have to find a seat. You can't just take somebody else's seat, dude. You gotta find a seat. You're gonna have to go back there. There's no seats. Miss Rader, which way are you headed? Okay. Yep, perfect. Great. Thank you. Start on that third row there. Just leave these couple seats just in case. So start there. That'd be great. Thank you.
Oh, look at this happy crew.
Look at them. Miss Raiders class, can you please come down and join together? There shouldn't be all that space between you. Thank you.
Hello, students, middle school. You guys are awake. It's so exciting to see all of you together. My name is Mr. Dahan, and I'm the Director of Alumni Relations here at SFS. Who is 14 years old in here? 14. We have some 14s. Congratulations, you're being promoted to high school, right? Yeah. Our speaker today came to SFS. She's an alumna, see? Latin word, you don't use that often. That's a former student. So you guys will be alumna someday. You'll be alumni of SFS. Rosie came when she was 7 years old to the British school, and she finished when she was 14 in the middle school. And she has a very special story to tell you today, and I hope you very much enjoy yourselves. There is time for questions at the end. Here is a microphone right over here, if you have a question. And then up there is also a microphone, okay, just in case. She loves to hear questions about anything. So without further ado, Rosie Jon.
팔이 없어서 다리로 살기 힘들지 않아요?
괜찮아요.
괜찮아요?
네.
Good morning. My name's Rosie. It's lovely to be here today, live in person. Thank you for inviting me. That animation was a hand-drawn, fully animated short film, about 1.5 minutes long, that I created some years ago, and it was 24 frames a second, so 24 images a second. If you're a mathematician, you can do the math how many images that took to create that short piece of animation. But it's based on this orphan friend of mine called Teho, who was born without arms and with legs that were too weak for him to walk. So he had figured out how to roll from one place to another to get around, and I got a chance to meet him, and he's a very special boy. But I created this animation to illustrate the story of how this unexpected friendship with a seagull gives him the wings to fly and gives him the strength to overcome his adversity. But at the same time, I'm sure you can all agree that when we see seagulls at the beach, we spend most of the time chasing them, right? So I'm sure the seagull needed that friendship as much as he did. And the truth is, in life, we often are faced with our own adversities and challenges. And the important message when we go through those challenges is that we don't do it alone. We're not alone. So I wanted to share that with you. And also say that I'm not ordinary either. As you can see, I have no lower arms, and this was how I was born. But my story began even before my parents knew that they were expecting a baby. It started off with this dream that my mum had before she even knew that she was going to have me. And in this dream, she walked into a room full of children, and every child she recognized, except for one. So she looked around to see who else was in that room, and my great-grandmother was there. And my mom asked her, "Who is this child?" And my great-grandmother told her, "She's your daughter," and then opened this big book to tell her what my name was. That dream was so vivid and profound that my mom knew that there was something very special about that dream. And a little less than a year later, I was born, and my parents would share this dream with me. And from a really young age, I just knew that there was a special reason why I was born this way. And I knew that I had a choice. I knew I had a choice either to let my physical disability define me or choose to be more than what anyone expected me to be extraordinary rather than ordinary. So naturally, as a kid, I knew that I had to do my best. I knew I had to prove to the world that I could do anything and that nothing was impossible. So, as a student, I did my best. I'm sure you can all relate to this. You're expected to do your best. And my goal was to study hard, be the best student I could be, and get into the best university. That was my goal. Because I knew that once I got into the best university, life will be all set. That's how I thought things would go. And so, naturally, when it came to college applications, I applied for the best universities that I could find on that university ranking list. I went from the top 10 and picked the best universities that I could see on that list. Even though my teacher was like, "You can't do that." And in the UK, you're supposed to pick your top 3 or 4 choices, and the rest are meant to be backup choices that guarantee your place somewhere, just in case. But I was adamant that I was going to pick the top 7 from the university ranking list. But then my first interview experience would end up being the first time I experienced discrimination against my disability. Unfortunately, after my round of interviews, the senior tutor called me in for this meeting, which wasn't part of my schedule, so I knew something was up. And she sat me down and told me that they had trouble with a blind student the year before, and they felt that my disability would become a problem for them. So I left that interview room completely devastated, completely broken, because up until that point I thought that nothing would get in the way of me trying to achieve what I thought was best for me. The hardest part was then sharing what had happened to me with my parents, because I knew that would break their hearts too. And I remember just falling into my dad's arms and just sobbing and feeling like I had disappointed them. And then that's when all the lies and the fears started consuming me. Lies like, you're not going to make it. This is how things are. This is how the world views you. You're not good enough. You've disappointed your parents. Those were the kind of lies that started to consume me. And I couldn't sleep for days. And if I did fall asleep, I was having nightmares. But one morning, when I walked downstairs to the kitchen for breakfast, my mom looked at me and just said, "Don't worry. God has a plan for you. He has a place for you. Don't worry." And that night, my prayers changed. Something shifted inside my heart. It went from begging for a miracle that I would get in just to prove them wrong to simply saying this prayer: "Dear God, whatever your plan is, whatever your will is, let it be." So for my next interview for Imperial College, I rehearsed over and over again how I would make a convincing statement about how I was able and capable despite my disability. And that was what I prepared for. But it was kind of a weird day, because if you've ever been to London, London rarely snows. London is rarely sunny. It's usually a wet city. It rains a lot, especially in this springtime, which was when I was doing all these interviews. And that morning, it started off with snow. And then the train was delayed, because with any small, tiny amount of snow, London transportation comes to a halt, even to this day. But then, when I arrived at my destination, the sun came out. And I entered that interview room, where the room was filled with this warm light. And guess what? They never asked me about my disability. They just asked math questions. And I screwed up. I couldn't even multiply two numbers together, because that's how nervous I was. And I left that interview room crying again, because this time it was definitely my fault. It was my fault that I messed up the interview. And I remember telling my mom, I think I messed this one up, and this time it's my fault. So I was feeling pretty awful about how things went. Part of me thought that they were probably being nice, extra nice to me, because they knew that I was going to not make it anyway. But I left that interview thinking, what just happened there? They were so nice to me. A couple of weeks later, I got a letter from them. They were going to give me a conditional offer, which was amazing news for me, because it meant that I just had to do really well in my exams, in my final exams, to get the grades that they were asking for to get my place there. But then, that summer, the math exams were the hardest paper that had ever been released in the history of A-level exams. And every student left that exam room in tears. And even the math teacher looked like she was about to cry too, because she was like, I'm so sorry. That's not how it was meant to be. So, again, there seemed to be another stumbling block there. I was like, oh my goodness. Now, the one exam that I really needed to ace, I really don't think I did enough to get the grade that I needed. But in the UK, they unfortunately make you wait a whole 2 months of the summer holidays for the results to be released. So for the whole 2 months, you are waiting anxiously, wondering if you ever did get the grades that you needed. But in that time, we got a random phone call from Imperial College, and it was a phone call of them asking us to come check out this dorm room that they were renovating completely for my needs. And I remember thinking, but I didn't do well enough in my math exam. They're wasting their time. But no, they said, just come and look at the room and tell us what else we need to change to fit all your needs. So my mum and I thought, there's nothing to lose, we'll go and check it out. And we arrived at the dorm building and saw the room, and it was double the size of an average student dorm room because it was meant to be for a disabled student, so it had to be wheelchair accessible. Even though I don't use a wheelchair, the room itself was for a disabled student, so the room was huge. It had a bathroom, ensuite, whereas all the other students in that dorm building would have to share a bathroom. It had a kitchen, a small kitchen, and had internet access and everything. All my needs were covered even before I arrived in that room. And my mom and I left that afternoon speechless. We just couldn't believe how they were preparing a place for me even before I knew that I had a guaranteed place at that college. And thankfully, 2 months later, when the results were released, the rest of the UK found that exam impossible too. So the rest of the nation did badly in that exam, that my grade ended up becoming an A because I did well enough compared to all the other students in the country. So I got in, and it was that first week of college. I was actually struggling to open the main door of the dorm building when someone came along and helped me open the door, and I looked at the person and smiled and said thank you, and we became friends, best friends, and now he's my husband today. So we now live in Westport, Connecticut, with 2 boys and a girl. And my story doesn't end there. It was when we moved from London to New York to Connecticut that I had a chance to go on this retreat led by a ministry called We Want More. And at this retreat, I had the opportunity to paint in front of the attendees with my toes for the first time ever. And for some reason, my mouth had said yes to this even before I had a chance to even think about it. And I remember my heart beating so hard, I could even hear my heartbeat from the outside. And my heartbeat became louder than the fear that was trying to hold me from stepping into this new experience of painting in front of an audience. And in that moment, I could hear God's voice clearly tell me, "You are my paintbrush." And I said yes to that and started painting. And since then, that has become my painting journey. That has led to me standing here today, painting and sharing my story and sharing this message of courage, perseverance, and faith that all of us can go through. But we don't go through it alone. we go through it together. And so, a lot of people ask me, what happened to your arms? People who don't know me or children who don't know me often ask me that question, what happened to your arms? I believe that it was a miracle that created me in the most unique way, so that instead of living a life trying to be normal or ordinary, I would be able to live a life that's extraordinary rather than ordinary. One of the greatest things that my dad shared with me when I was your age was how the Greek sculpture Venus de Milo, do we all know that sculpture? It has no arms. But if it had full-length arms, would it be as beautiful as it is? So that gave me this illustration of myself as a beautiful sculpture. And we're all God's masterpieces, created fearfully and wonderfully to do the good works, to do the extraordinary works that has been planned for your life in advance. So I hope what I get to share with you today does give you courage, the courage to persevere. And with the perseverance, you'll learn to have more faith, to have the belief to get to where you are meant to go. So I would love for us to all have a chance to get in touch with our own hearts. So I'm going to ask you all to close your eyes for a couple of minutes. And you're going to ask your own hearts this question. What fears or lies am I holding on to? What fears or lies am I holding on to? And then what I want you to do next is just to picture yourself putting those fears and lies into a box. And I don't know where all your faith is at this moment, but I want you to try and visualize Jesus standing in front of you. And hand that box over to him. And just say, I hand my fears, hand these lies, I hand myself over to you. What do you have for me in exchange? What do you have for me in exchange? And he will show you what he has for you. Just listen out for that gentle, warm, loving voice that gives you peace. And when you're ready, if there is someone who is brave enough to share what was revealed to them, please share, because that is going to become part of my art piece for this day. You can raise your hand if you want to share. Teachers included too. Awesome. Do you want to come to the microphone?
I just felt that if I just tried hard enough, I could succeed in many things. But I always try to figure out how hard enough I have to do. But I think I can do it like a staircase. I can't see the end, but I have hope that if I keep on going up, I can just get to the end, I guess, and reach what I have I wanted to do for my whole life.
That's great. So what was shown to you is the hope that you can hold on to climb up the staircase that you are destined to climb up. Is that right?
Yeah, the thing that I really wanted to do since I was young, yeah.
Yes, so you can achieve the desires and the dreams of your heart. Yeah. Thank you for sharing. Awesome.
I see a successful me with a family that I can talk to and someone that actually cares, and with a person who I can trust and give my fears, just like Jesus, and everything, and talk to. Whether it's a brother, a person, or anything, I can talk to them.
Awesome. So you can share whatever gifts that you have and who you are with others and make a difference. Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Any teachers who would like to be brave enough to share?
Thank you so much, Rosie. Thank you so much for sharing that story. I mean, that is a true inspiration. So I think for me, a lot of it is, about being inadequate, and I hold on to failure a lot. So that was a lot of things that came out for me. It was funny. I'm going to tell a little story here as well. So when I closed my eyes, I still saw your silhouette there, right? And with the screen behind and everything else. So I still saw the silhouette. And when I opened my eyes, the way that I was facing, there's a little arrow here on the ground. And so the silhouette was going to the arrow, out through the door, which to me was just that reassurance to go ahead and move forward and always keep moving forward. And, sometimes we don't want to go through those doors because what's on the other side, sometimes it's scary and we're just not sure what's going to be out there. It's just that encouragement to keep going, go through the door, see what's on the other side, and keep moving forward. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for your time. That was really inspirational. Thank you.
That's great. Thank you. Thank you so much. So, for me, with these words, I'm going to add more words later on today when I have another session with the elementary school kids. And by the end of it, there'll be a completed piece of art that you can all get to see and enjoy, because I believe the art is going to be displayed in the school. So just look forward to seeing that finished piece of art. But in the meantime, we're going to watch another video and then have a Q&A session. So enjoy the video. Thank you.
Artist Rosie Jon begins each painting with a leap of faith. The math and computer science major worked in film production as a visual effects producer, but creating this type of art was not part of her plan.
Oh, I've never painted.
Trying to walk on my own, but I'm wound up lost.
That was until a friend, knowing Rosie's creative side, asked her to paint at a women's retreat.
To paint in front of those women required more than just my own strength.
Pretty remarkable. You see, Rosie is also a married mother of 3 who takes on motherhood with no bounds. fed her babies, changed their diapers with her feet. She plays baseball with her family, and often she bikes with her daughter to get ice cream, though there are some limits.
Stop.
But that's what family is for.
Rescue me!
But Rosie has always felt her difference is a gift, not a disability.
In a weird kind of way, I really feel like God was always with me.
Today, it's Rosie Jon's studio.
Painting outside really allows me to be more in one with my heart and soul. Every art that I create comes with a message of encouragement and hope, faith and love.
That message perhaps even more powerful because of how Rosie works.
I am an artist who paints with her toes.
Rosie was born without arms. Raised in the UK and South Korea, she believed nothing was impossible.
That I had this gift that I could share with others, that I had a story that could impact others. I saw myself as a paintbrush that could be used to make a difference.
Since then, Rosie has painted publicly throughout town, including at fundraisers and other events. She also makes trips to schools, inviting kids to join her and teaching them different is beautiful.
My hope is that my story will be an example of courage and perseverance and hopefully inspire many to believe that there's nothing impossible.
For Rosie, there's a joy in her pieces and her process. Every time she steps in front of a blank canvas, it's a different experience with one common factor. She's painting from the heart.
So one fact that I didn't get to share is that I never went to art college. I never got trained as an artist. I actually did mathematics and computer science at college, only because back then all my teachers were expecting me to go to art college because they saw that I had artistic talent, but because they expected that, I had to do more than what they expected. So I chose mathematics and computer science, and not only one major, I chose double major. And the college I went to ended up beating the other university that rejected me on the university rankings that year too. So that was the extra cherry on top of that story. But now we get to have a Q&A session. I'd love to hear your questions, and I'd be happy to answer all those questions. So feel free to come up to the microphone and share your questions.
There's a mic up there too, a mic up to the right on the top floor.
There's a microphone on the top floor as well.
Come. If you want to come and make a line, you can come and get in line.
Hi, how long did it take for you to learn how to paint with your toes?
How long did it take for me to learn to paint? So one of my earliest memories goes as far as when I was 2, when I picked up a crayon with my toes for the first time. So I just remember from that moment, I always loved to draw, paint, and create things. But it was only when I had this opportunity to paint at this retreat did I really get to paint from my heart. And that was my first painting. And I've learned through every piece of art that I create, I learn a new skill, I learn something new, and every art piece that I create is unique. So it came with just letting go of all those fears that I have of not feeling like I could do it or be good enough, but just letting myself be free and just trying and trying again. And sometimes I find that the mistakes become part of the beauty of the art too. So being okay with mistakes too and embracing that whole experience. Thank you, that was a great question.
Hi, my name is Lucas, and I'm in 6th grade. And I just thought of this very stupid and dumb idea, but can I just tell you?
Sure.
Since you're really good at like using your feet, why don't you become a YouTuber and play Minecraft and Godbridge? And then you'll be really famous, and you can collab with Nico and Korean.
So, with my toes, you are recommending that I become a YouTube star by playing Minecraft or some kind of computer game that can get me in the mainstream. Great question, or great suggestion. Maybe if I had as much passion for Minecraft as with painting, maybe that might be something that I would pursue. But I think Minecraft is not part of my journey. But my sons, I'm sure, would be all up for that idea as well. Thank you.
Hi, my name is JD, and how long did it take? How long did you live with this disability in your life?
So I was born this way, so I've had it since birth. But over the years, I've learned to adapt and learn new ways to do things. And it's one of the things that I even teach my own kids. You know, if they're ever stuck or if I ever catch them saying I can't, I tell them, no, never say you can't. There's always a way. Nothing is impossible. God is always with you to get you through anything. Thank you for that question. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Evelyn from 6th grade, and I was wondering how long does it usually take you to make one art piece?
How long does it take for me to create one art piece? That's a good question. So usually, because I get to do this at a lot of events, I do a lot of live art presentations, and so it depends on what time limit they give me. So if they give me only half an hour, I have to speed paint for 10 minutes or 15 minutes. But if I have an event where I can take as much time, then I could probably paint for up to half an hour, 30 minutes. But it usually ranges from 10 minutes to 30 minutes, I'd say. Yeah. Thank you for that great question.
My name is Jonathan, and I'm from 7th grade. I just have a very curious question. How was your childhood?
How was my childhood? That's a really big question and a really good question. So for most of my younger years of my childhood, I was a very determined kid. My parents will probably say that I was very stubborn and strong-spirited. But I'd like to say that I was a very determined kid that was just ready to prove to the world that I could do anything. But then once I hit middle school and adolescence, it gets hard. Being in your stage of life is hard because you start to think about your future. You start to think about who you truly are. And until you figure that out, it is a tough journey. So I'd say that over the middle school years, it was a journey of finding who I truly am. And then naturally, high school becomes a bit more intense because you have the pressure of trying to get into, university and college. But it's been a journey. Let's say life is full of ups and downs, but at the end of the day, just like a roller coaster ride, it ends up being a fun ride, right? Even though you go through twists and turns and you don't know what to expect around the corner, but at the end you get to see the joy of that journey. So that's how I would illustrate my my childhood and my life. It was fun for the most part, but a great way to learn how to be strong and how to be confident and how to continue believing that I could. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Sean Kim in 7th grade, and What is your favorite painting?
What is my favorite painting?
Yeah.
Because I get to paint from my heart, that question kind of becomes like, what is your favorite child?
Oh.
But I think I love all my paintings because each painting has its own story, and if I were to choose a favorite, I think it's hard to choose a favorite, but I think any art piece that truly comes from my heart, from the core of my heart, that I would pick as my favorite piece of art. Thank you.
Hello, my name is TK from 6th grade. How do you type?
How do I type with my toes?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Well, there's a computer over there, but I can type with my toes. My toes are very flexible. So I've trained my toes to operate like you would use your hands, pretty much. So I can type with my toes.
And uses like the same method with doing math, right?
Sorry, what was that?
Yeah, for math too, right? Use
For
your
math?
toes. Yeah.
How do I do math?
Yeah. Same with your toes.
With my brain.
no. No. Did I just get roasted? Okay. Bye-bye. Thanks.
No, that was a great question. I can use my toes to hold a pencil, but I've also learned how to hold the pencil with both my arms, like I'm holding the microphone, so I can use my arms to write and solve math problems. Because I know math is hard. You have to be able to use other math tools as well, like a protractor and, ruler and everything. So I've learned how to adapt and learn how to use those tools. Thank you.
We'll take a turn. The young lady in white. Yes, if you can say your name and grade.
Hi, my name is Sydney. I'm in 8th grade. I was wondering if you had any role models?
Role models. So that's a really good question. I would say my mum, actually.
Thank you.
Yeah, my mum truly, both my parents are role models because they really showed me unconditional love. And I think love is the most important ingredient in any part of your success, because love is what allows you to overcome anything. So thank you for that question.
Just a second. We'll go down here back and forth. It's okay. Stay right there. Stay right there. Good job.
My name is G. I'm in 6th grade. And have you ever forgotten that you didn't have arms?
Oh, that's a great question. Have I ever forgotten that I ever have no arms? I forget all the time, actually. I don't see myself as someone who has a disability because really there is nothing that can hold me back. So yeah, quite often I do forget that I don't have arms until someone points it out to me and I'm like, oh yeah, I don't have arms. Let me explain to you why. Yeah.
Good question.
Thank you. That was a great question.
Up top.
Hi, I'm Hannah. I'm in 8th grade. And what do you think you would have been doing right now if you weren't an artist?
If I weren't an artist, so I never planned to be an artist myself. I actually did mathematics and computer science, and then my first job after graduation was at Pinewood Studios in London, which is one of the largest film studios where they filmed all the James Bond movies and Harry Potter films were filmed there. So I got to go to work with, great actors and crew members. And I really thought that I would have a career in visual effects or in film. My dream actually was to win an Oscar for a short animated film, actually, because they do have an Oscar category for that. But instead, I got to have my own son, who's called Oscar. so, yeah, my dream did come true in some ways. It wasn't, I guess, what I envisioned wasn't the same as what God envisioned for me. But that dream can still be achieved. So I still have that dream of, winning an Oscar maybe one day. Or, I'm also writing a children's novel right now, and I hope that I get to just share more of my heart through this book that I'm writing. So we'll see. Who knows?
Hi, I'm Cooper Busby from 6th grade. Does your artwork inspire your children to do the same?
Does my artwork inspire others to do the same?
Like your children?
Oh, my children? Oh, that's a good question. For a long time, I felt sad that none of my boys were interested in creating art with me, except for just the times that I'd take them outside and let them paint as they wished. And most of the time, it became body painting. and I would have to just hose them down with water. In the summer, of course, not in the winter. But I think my youngest daughter definitely has a greater interest in art. She loves to draw and paint, so maybe she's going to be my little artist.
Teachers, how much time do we have? 10 minutes? 15. Okay, up top.
Hi, my name is Elizabeth, and I'm in 8th grade. How did you let go of the fear that, of how you would be judged by others?
That's a really good question. How did I let go of the fear of being judged by others? I think that's a fear that all of us can relate to, right? Even as adults, we go through that. For me, it's just a lot of prayer and a lot of faith to just keep holding on to that belief that nothing is impossible with God and with the people that are my people, the people who will support me and the people who will be with me, my family, my friends, and just knowing and just fighting off that fear, knowing that there is a greater reward at the end of the race, that there is a prize that's waiting for me. So just keeping my eye on that prize at the end, and no matter how hard it is, just knowing, just holding on to that belief and knowing that I can, and nothing can hold me back. But it, like that, like we did earlier about handing over our fears and lies, I do that often myself as an adult as well. Just handing that over and making sure that the fear doesn't become a stumbling block or an obstacle that gets in the way. That was a wonderful question. Thank you for asking that.
Hi, my name is Olivia, and I'm in grade 6. What 3 main sacrifices did you have to make in order to achieve your goal? And what would you like to say to all the artist type of people in this room right now?
What are the 3 things I had to sacrifice to become an artist?
3 main things.
3 main things to become an artist, and what I would say to inspire other future artists in this room? Okay. Yeah. 3 main things. That's a really good question. Sacrifice. I guess sacrificing, one of the main sacrifices would be just wanting what I want, right? Just wanting how I want things to go. Because I think there's a lot of freedom in letting that go, and basically just trusting that whatever steps I'm taking is the path that I'm meant to be on. So letting go, sacrificing my plan, because my plan is there's no way my plan is going to be greater than what God has planned for me. So letting go of my own plan and trusting more, sacrificing a lot of my free time too, I guess, because thankfully the way I get to paint is I get to do it with others. You guys are part of this experience for me too. So yeah, I mean, sacrificing me being an introvert, just wanting to stay at home and feel safe, I have to come out of my comfort zone and take courage myself to be on stage and be in front of everyone. When inside, I could probably let the fear stop me from doing that. But yeah, 3. I think those are the main sacrifices. The third main sacrifice I choose is just being a mom. You know, being a mom requires a lot of sacrificing and just giving the best that you can and trying to be the best mother that you can be, even though we as humans are imperfect. So constantly sacrificing the expectation to be perfect would be another sacrifice, I guess, because nothing is perfect. So just, you know, being perfectly imperfect. Yeah, thank you. That was a great question.
Up at the top.
Hi, my name is Emma Balestra. I'm in 8th grade. I couldn't help but notice that in your video and in that picture now you were wearing white. Is there like a reason?
Oh, well observed. I like to wear white when I paint because when I paint, there is a lot of paint. And at the end of my presentation, I stay white. I don't end up getting any paint on me. I'm probably jinxing it right now by saying it. But that is part of the fun for me too, just to remain clean and white even after I'm done with painting. So it's kind of like a fun thing for my own self, just to like, you know, add an extra bit of fun into what I do. Does that answer your question? Yeah.
Yes.
My name is June and I'm in 7th grade. If you could, what would you say to your future self, like maybe 10 or 15 years from now?
Oh, that's a really good question. What would I tell my future self? I actually thought about what I would tell about my younger self, but I hadn't actually thought of my future self. I think I would say, well done. Well done. Because, yeah. Yeah, I think we can all aim to have that level of faith where you know that when you get to that end, you can look back and just say, well done. Yeah.
Adult question here. What would you say to yourself when you were out here, when you were an SFS student?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So when I was your age, I think I spent a lot more time feeling alone. So I would actually tell my middle school self, you're not alone. There's so much more in store for your life. Life is going to get more exciting. It's going to be worth the pain, worth all the challenges that you're faced with, and you will overcome because you were born to be more than what anyone has expected you to be extraordinary rather than ordinary, is probably what I would say.
In white at the top.
Oh, hi, my name's Ian from 8th grade. My question is, how did SFS help you succeed to become a painter and all this stuff you did?
Oh, that's a really good question. How did SFS help me succeed? It was the teachers. I give all credit to the SFS teachers. They are absolutely the best teachers that I ever had. Like, I would say that my middle school teachers and my British school teachers, I still have managed to keep in touch with most of them, except for a couple who I haven't been able to reach, but I still keep in touch with them because they were really the stepping stones of my life that helped me continue to believe in myself, and they, I just can't put into words how thankful I am for them, because they truly invested in not in my education, but in my heart. They invested in my heart as well, so that played a huge role. Thank you.
This is the final question. I'm sorry, final question.
Hi, my name is Josie, and I'm in 6th grade, and I was wondering about the challenges you faced at the beginning of your art career.
What sort of challenges did I face beginning my art career? I think one of the challenges was basically feeling like I wasn't good enough because I didn't have the art background that most artists have, and really a lot of it was just the way that I was painting. A lot of my heart goes into this process, so allowing myself to be vulnerable and allowing myself to be open to sharing my story in such a way, even though my brain might be saying, don't do it, this is too scary for you. But really, I think the challenge still is just to be brave and take that step forward and just let that magic happen when it happens. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, students. Final round of applause for our alum, Rosie.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're dismissed, students.
Okay, we're going to break, so go ahead and head to break time. Be in class on time.